Cable 10, Aurora, Illinois Community Access Channel.
Let's get weird, buddy. Let's get weird.
Guys, where are we?
Well, if there's a bright center to the universe, you're on the planet that it's farthest from.
Welcome to the outer
Can't deny that view.
Enjoy your stay.
What did you do?
I saved her.
And I'm gonna kill every last one of them.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun, and we're back talking. What else? What the hell was that intro for? We're here to talk about something completely different than what you just saw. I made a major mistake. We're actually here talking about another show. Whoops. No, we're talking about The Last of Us Season 2. It's the penultimate episode of Season 2. We're on episode 6. It's called The Price. Full spoilers for everything up to this point, including all the games. I'm Rob here at Smirking Gun. This is Darren Jakes from D's Reviews, and we're going to be talking about all the stuff that happened in this episode, the big flashback episode.
Yeah.
Over the course of the game, they dole these out little by little. Here we're getting them all at once. I'm kind of glad they did that instead of jumping around to anything else. Doesn't really seem like it would work that well. But an emotional roller coaster, seeing a lot of Joel and different choices that he's made, and as it leads all the way up to that infamous scene already from this season of, does Ellie just go to the garage, or did she say something to Joel? Because everybody else that doesn't know the games has been clamoring for a while about what happened. How does she know all these things? What didn't we see? And in this, we get to see a lot. And even though there's a lot from the game, some of it is just kind of combined to save time and money, probably. And we get more stuff added. We get to see who Eugene was, what happened with that. We get two people in this show that I'm happy to see. Just about in most circumstances, we get Tony Dalton as Joel's dad, and we get Joey Pants as Eugene, the pot dealer. Well, the guy who grows pot, or did grow pot for everybody. So they fill in a lot of gaps, and it's really good, but it's really straightforward, and it really doesn't get to where, like, okay, when does it have something for me personally to say that's not already stuff that I've seen in games? And it isn't until they do add this new thing with Eugene that's not in the game, where they can combine, like, expose a lot of stuff. And that's where it starts to get off, where you start to hear about Joel's history of choices and justifications in this. And so I know how I feel about this episode. It's really, really good. But I'm ready to see now. Like, I want to see how they wrap up the season next week. Because that really is more about it for me at this point, is like,
sure,
where will there be the end, where I think it's going to end, and then there'll be the actual thing. So what did you think of this episode? You don't have to worry about spoiling anything because it's all out there.
We just watched it. This was really good. You know, it's actually, I had to say, the opener, or the opening bit we have for these reviews, that hits so much harder with him, like, I saved her, and then goes right back to her, and I'm gonna kill every last. With what we saw today, that has so much added strength. And yeah, I don't know, what is this? The love episode, the family episode. This is the relationship, the father-daughter thing. I mean, in many ways, I think you're right. I think it was a smart choice to go ahead and take all of those things that could have been peppered throughout the season and throw them into one, because It gives you that sort of relationship. It gives you that satisfaction of what does she know? How did she know it? And as the show often does, in unexpected ways. As an audience member, you know, again, from the game, you're seeing it from a different thing. So for me, I am, of course, ready to move on because they set me in that right place. But I do appreciate, I wouldn't say a break, but getting this information now of answering the question that would have been on our mind all seasons. What did she know? What did Ellie know? And when did she know it? And I do like the fact that what the teasers have been teasing all scene of what we expect to be her response from I know isn't to that, though it does elucidate that. And then we get this whole other moment that you're right. I had a friend that was over and he's been watching reviews but hasn't seen the actual show. So he was kind of catching up on all this. And I was about to say, as Ellie walks off there, yeah, and that's the last time that they talk. And then suddenly she pops back up, and I'm like, oh, there's more stuff. So, I mean, from an audience standpoint, they really did release this information really nicely. Yeah, Joey P on there, always great to see him. I knew you'd be thrilled to have the swordsman in the Last of Us here. I thought of you immediately, Rob. But just for a quick thing, that opening scene was 4 minutes long and gave us so much on their childhood, who Joel has been, the family, their relationship, that the dad, yeah, you're like, oh man, he's going to beat on Tommy. What an asshole. But then he sits and tells the story and you realize, no, man, his dad was the asshole. He's just trying to be a little bit better. And that's the thing he puts on. I hope that you get to be a little bit better. And that, in a way, being the theme through this episode in the background and is lovingly set, retouched on in that last scene. I know we often talk about, density of storytelling and doing more with less and how you can see shows. To me, this is just crafting, because in 4 minutes, you got so much. And I knew that because I had someone next to me that hasn't seen any of this, and he had a total understanding of this person and where they were coming from with just that little bit. So, again, this is the love episode. It's just there to really warm our hearts and then make them hurt and then give us that little moment of satisfaction that, well, unlike Eugene, at least Joel and Ellie got to have one last little conversation.
Yeah, it was nice to see Tony Dalton, Lalo himself be in this. Man, everybody in this show has been getting a lot of work, man. All we need is Jenna Ortega to show up or something. She can play Isabella's Zardina's sister or something, in the third season.
There you go.
She can be the one that gets killed by the Raider. But the whole thing that this isn't in the game, we don't know about Joel's past, with his parents and everything. And I'm just trying to do better than him. That hurt but the whole thing where it's like sitting down with your kid who's basically saying, I'm going to fight you over this. And that parent who's not been doing a good job, clearly knowing that he's, not doing a good job, having a beer with his kid isn't doing a great job here.
Sure.
It's still but the look on his face as he's telling him the story and just that awful feeling that he has, that awful feeling that he knows he's not doing good enough and yet still going, but I'm better than him. And coming from abuse, it didn't really give me a lot of comfort to hear his words. It just felt like I don't know, the bar isn't very high already. And then to have this kind of end with the same kind of thing where he tells her that same thing. And it's like, a little bit better than your dad. Did your dad ever kill a whole hospital full of people?
Not per se.
So I don't know how much I want to listen to Joel talk about the degrees of being a little bit better, but I mean I know why it's there,
Sure.
and again, also what I know from the game. There's a lot of foreshadowing here. I mean, we know that Dina's got, is pregnant, so it's like, potentially Ellie could be sort of a parent, just like Joel is sort of a parent to
Well,
her.
and I can certainly say from a parent standpoint,
Yeah.
how much that really does ring true is because you do realize, like, however good, however bad, you're kind of locked into the lessons that you learned as a kid. So you're just like, you're trying to be better or different than your parents. Though in many ways that opens you up to making just different mistakes than your parents did. And it's to me, from the parent standpoint, and that's what I liked about it, is because my initial response is like, F this guy, man, hitting his kid. And now, yeah, Joel's got to stand up and be sure that you're not going to beat on it again. Cause and to me, that sit down, even as, like you said, as broken as it is that I'm a cop having a beer with my kid and telling him that, yeah, I'm sorry that I beat you, but it's not as bad as what I got. And I think, part of it's just the exceptional performance that they're able to get out of all of the actors is to me, it's one of those where you recognize, like, oh, my parent, or, my friend's parent, or so on. You start to see that larger perspective, is that often, man, at least if we can do a little better than the person that we learned from, at least we're taking things in the right direction. So it's a very kind of humbling kind of point of view. And it made me feel for a guy that I initially was like, F you. And I think that says something about, how they were able to handle that stuff.
Yeah, and we don't know, like, again, like what happens after that conversation. Although he does have a beer and then he goes out to be a cop again.
I did almost expect him to go, all right, Joe, well, I got to hit you. I almost expected that, but that wouldn't have been right for the scene.
And they do, like, the whole thing with the museum. This is very much like the game. They skip a few things because, time wise, budget wise, but we get the T-Rex, we get the space stuff, we get the Apollo thing. That's so much from the game, like the helmet, close your eyes, Ellie going into her own little imagination. It's all really beautiful. It's all really well done. So for anybody who's, like, again, since I've already seen this and played this several times, it's just nice to see it be accurately done so that the people who haven't seen this can appreciate it the same way I have, where it's just such a beautiful moment. And again, showing like that like she's young still, like this is after he's lied to her, but she's fine. And it's just, hi, and I'm just a kid. And even though it's the post-apocalyptic, she cusses, she does, like, she's not really, when you've killed a lot of people together across the country, I don't think swearing is probably a big deal.
Sure. Some of that stuff, the edges are all sanded off.
And then they throw in, how the next year is more difficult. She's smoking. She's getting a tattoo done. Well, we also have, connected to both things are arm injuries. First, you got how she hurts herself with her arm to cover up, to be able to wear shirts. Then she gets the tattoo done. It's just standard stuff, teenage things that are happening here. Nothing really wanting to find their own space, especially in the situation where, he is not her dad. That's got to really suck, though, to have that card to play all the time of, like, this is all great until I disagree with how it's going. And then I can just be like, you're not my dad, literally. Sure. So that gets played here, and it's fine. Again, it's all really well done. I think it's a good thing that Neil Druckmann did direct this episode, seeing as how closely They probably wanted to see how much they could get from the game and where they wanted to deviate, and who better again than the person who did it, in the first place. So when we get to the day, the birthday, the 19th birthday, where they go out to patrol, this is to me like where things are about to go down, right?
Sure. Well, let me jump in with
Go
the
ahead.
previous stuff before we hit the 19.
Sure.
Just a couple things, because you're right. This is a wonderful setup of just, again, showing their relationship, showing the love, honestly, and that father-daughter, and that he's really putting the care and energy from the opening bit where he gets a bone and he's cutting this giant bone down just so he can get the part for the bridge, for the guitar, and getting these things and drummeling out the moth image and all of these things that she has on there. It's just that you got to have the high before you have the low, so you can get that wrap up point. And the way that they were set these up with birthdays to give us just that progression of time in these little moments, and they weren't that long, which I think was also really nice. They were just, here's a taste of what we were doing. Yeah, man, that burning of the arms, just like, what? I just looked at it, it was like, what's this? Might as well go in. And this is also, I think, an excellent example of why, when you do adaptations of video games, adapt the video game. Too often they're like, okay, we take this, but we're going to tell entirely different stories. Halo. But this, again, it appeals to the people who've played the game. Obviously, you want to see what they do and what they bring up. It appeals to people that don't know anything about the game, because we get to experience that story that everybody talks about. So there's that. Side note, Bella apparently taught Pedro how to play guitar for these scenes, which is funny considering that it's Joel teaching Ellie how to play. Or I guess as Bella Ramsey put it, it's like, I taught him one chord and he really enjoyed and played that, and that's pretty much what he plays. Love the all of the music stuff was pretty awesome. The Pearl Jam, of course, I knew was referenced to. And yeah, I think that's all of that. I do love the line when he said, yeah, drugs, sex, tattoo, all of the teenage stuff all at once is just how we're going to do it. Yes, because we don't have time. And this is kind of a perfect way to set them all up. So, yeah, let's get to Eugene, baby.
Yeah, so the Eugene stuff, like, well, I mean, we have to go to, this is where she's planning on telling him what she already knew, what we already knew. This also gives us, again, did she believe it? Did she ever believe it?
Right. Now she's got questions.
Yeah. And all her questions are put on hold because she also gets something that she wanted. She's finally getting to go out on patrol. And so it kind of feels like, oh, he's stayed off. He doesn't even know that he has stayed off this conversation until Joey Pants, Ralph Cifaretto is out there not setting horses on fire, but getting bit by the infected. And I love this because this just says so much about, like, again, what he does, how he operates, and kind of how he expects her to be on board with all of this, not even thinking about like how this connects to them.
Oh, he sets himself up without even knowing it. And I think that's the kind of beauty thing about it. That's so much about, the characters, the story is yeah, in a way of avoiding it at the time where she has questions, he sets himself up for exposure in a way he couldn't have thought.
Yeah, because, one of the things I think about, like, a big lie like this, right, is you always have to maintain it. And if you can't, if you forget for a moment and you drop the ball and you say the wrong thing in front of the wrong person, whether it's Eugene, Ellie, Gail, whoever, Tommy, here it is. It all comes out. And played beautifully. Like Joey's not in this for very long.
Just
He's
got to do a real nice moment, and he takes it.
and and he dies a lot in movies, so maybe he's just like, hey, you know what, like just think of it as a new death. This is your of mice and men. Okay, this is your of mice and men moment. You get to look out over this is to look at the flowers. You get to look out over the lake, right? But it's just the whole thing of like he's gonna kill him. Ellie talks him out of it. I mean, she goes as far as she can to convince Joel, we're not doing this. We're gonna let him see his wife. It's all perfectly reasonable, but on the same time, there is like a thing you could say about like what Joel's decision or thought process, right, would be. We take him there. He turns. He attacks somebody. We're blamed. There is that.
Sure.
You can say that, but that's not what they do. He says that we're gonna get you there. And he's not, man. It's just maybe because we just saw Andor and we've been dealing with people like Luthen, where it's just nobody, like.
And Ellie turns around, which is awesome because she's like, okay. And then it's like, you promise, and again, I think that's the kill because she knows walking away like, all right, I'll go wait a minute. The minute I walk away, you're going to do something weird. Again, as she says later, she's always known. She just peppers it up because it's Dad, man. What are you doing?
Yeah. And I love what he says, what Joey says to him, Eugene says to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and in this, even in this moment, he's trying to justify to a man he's going to kill. Well, if when you love somebody, you can see them, you can always see them and everything. And I'll pass along any words that you want. It's like, it's not my words that I want. I want hers for me.
That's honestly what hits so much is he's just like, I'm dying and I'm terrified. And I want to hear my wife, yeah, fuck that noble shit, man. You're going down. What is it that you would want for at least that moment of comfort before your brain's taken over by a freaking fungi?
Yeah, it's all about to be over. It's not going to even matter except for in that present moment. Before the lights go out, nothing matters anymore.
Yeah.
And he took that from him. He just, and right in front of her, and that's the straw that breaks the camel's. Well, maybe this wasn't even the straw that broke the camel's back. The straw then is the lie.
And it's how easy he did it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just dragging the body along, too.
Well, and he's just like, and he loved you, and he just wanted to be, but he didn't want to do anything. I mean, again, telling Gail just everything that she might want to hear. Oh, it was all for you, and he did it right, and so on. And again, Ellie's like, it's so easy for you, and I know it's fake, and I recognize that face. Yeah, it does all, I guess it was true. It was that reaction, though it was to something else, because that is the realization of what Joel can do.
Yeah. And we've been getting little foreshadowing, seeing them, they talk about the moths. She sees the fireflies. We know where all this is headed throughout this episode, but like as soon as he throws in her mind, it's like he's throwing the guy under the bus, as if we had nothing to do with any of this. As if we, to absolve himself because he can just justify that I did this for all of us. I took him out there and I took away that guy's last moments on Earth because it was easier for me to do it this way. Blah, blah, blah. And
even if it is safer, it's colder. And he made a promise to a guy, to his daughter, effectively.
And then she blows his cover, tells her how it actually went. And I honestly, this is not from the game. This is not how it happens. Gail's not in the game, in the game. None of all this is here. as far as we know, Eugene wasn't done in like this. This is never brought up, but it's a really interesting way to do the reveal for Joel. She doesn't embarrass him in front. She doesn't tell everybody. She just says, "You swore," meaning to us and everyone else, she knows.
Yeah.
Does Joel still know? Does Joel know at this point what she's talking about, and he's just too scared to say anything? I'm thinking yes. I think it just becomes one of those things that people don't talk about. He's afraid to bring up the subject. She's afraid to bring up the subject because it really means, the end of their relationship.
Sure.
Or what's most likely going to happen is the end of their relationship. And so when we cut to 9 months later and we replay, the events of that night, and she walks past him and then comes back, this is where they jammed in 2 conversations from the game. In the game, she literally goes to Salt Lake City. She takes off.
Oh my God. Okay.
And he finds her there. And that's when she confronts him about everything. There's a moment where they fight in a lodge near Jackson, where things are starting to fall apart as far as like Ellie looking at Joel a certain way,
right,
about things. It's the Eugene. They have kind of a Eugene moment, I would say, in the game. Just has nothing to do with Eugene.
Right.
Just more of like little chips at like Joel's way of doing things.
So they kind of took those moments and made that the Eugene.
Yeah, so they have that at the Salt Lake City thing, saying, if you don't tell me the truth right now, I'm out of here. And then combine it with basically what happens at the end of the game is that last scene of them on the porch talking.
Okay.
And they reveal that before he died, they talked. But they combine the, did you do all this? Is it all a lie? And the, I don't know if I can forgive you for this, but I'd like to try situation, all in one big conversation. So a lot of stuff happens in this scene. I think it works a little better narratively in the game because it makes more sense to have those. Like, I don't think people would have that. I don't know if people would be able to deal with 2 things like that all at once. But that's what they did here. Again, save money on budget because they can't do everything from the game just because we want them to. It costs them, because I mean, it still would have cost them a lot in the game to mocap the whole pretending to go to Salt Lake City. But this again just shows, like, at least here he admits it. He nods his head. He explains all this. I mean, there is something to be said that would they have found a cure? They think they would have found a cure, but that's apples and oranges right now.
I know it's cleaner this way, but that's exactly what I thought. In fact, my friend who was watching was just like, well, he could say that he didn't know, which would honestly be true. But I mean, I get why in the game they did this, because this is a great summary scene. And I'm sure after all the battles and all the things, to wrap it all up and see that they had this moment where they could have, like, I would like to be together, even if you think there was all split, that there was that moment of them coming. I could see where narratively that would totally work.
Yeah.
I think, from a story point, and certainly satisfying something that as an audience you kind of need at this point. I mean, I think they hit it so beautifully, and that it's such a surprising scene to add on. Like I said, I'm like, oh yeah, man, that's the last time that they ever see until he did. Oh my God, she walked back. What's gonna happen here? And that she does have that confrontation. And again, honestly, it's just such great choices that he can't actually answer her. he can't speak, he can't say it, he can't bring himself to say it, but he can't deny her also. So all he can do is shake and nod his head. You know, it's just, there's so much also. I mean, Pedro Pascal is just freaking amazing. But the two of them just working on that scene, I just thought it was so great. And then, yeah, how you have that moment where Bella's like, you know, he's just hope you do better than I do. And she's like, I don't think I can forgive you for this. You're like, oh, it's gone. And then, but I sure want to try. It's like, that's all that you need. That's,
Yep.
I mean, honestly, in most relationships, that's all that you really need is the willingness to try, to honestly try.
And then the next day he's killed.
And the next, yeah. And that's it. You know,
and that's,
and
I just fixed this. We just dealt with all of our shit, and now he's gone. And that's life. You know,
well, that's why I say why
it's,
your scene
yeah.
hits so hard now watching that is because that's exactly it. It's like, oh, we just had our moment. We're just fixing things. And then you took him away.
So when, you know, it brings more impact to the prior episode with Nora, like, yeah, I know what he did. It's the conversation she had with Dina. Yeah, he did something, but does that mean that it's fine? You know, if we find out that somewhere in the past somebody had done something to somebody and that's okay about what they do now, you know, and it makes that more impactful now. And tying all this together, it needed to be done.
Yeah.
And so now, when we cut to the end where she's going back to the theater in the rain, right after killing Nora, now she's got to go back in there, and we go off to what I assume will be the last bit before we cut to, I think, what'll be Abby's side of the story for part 2 of this season. Well, they'll call it season 3.
Right.
But the second part of The Last of Us Part 2 game story.
The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah. Where I think there's some people that are probably going to drop in this finale coming up, and where they end it, I don't know. I have my theories. I think I know where it's going to end, but who knows? Because I do think that they change it just enough. Where's Tommy? You know, where are we going to see Tommy again, or are they going to save Tommy? You know, more of this. The story structure now is going to get really interesting because we're going to start to see things pretty soon, or at least next year anyway, of like, oh, well, you thought that this perspective was like you only had one way of looking at it. What happens when you look at these people as people? I think we're going to see a lot of the Scars and the Wolves and Abby's group and everything from different contexts, different side of looking at all of this.
Sure.
And there'll be probably a lot less Bella Ramsey next year. But I don't know. Like, how much are they going to spread this out? Does Abby's story have as much content to last another 7 or 8 episodes? But there is this game, though, also is kind of like the Return of the King, the deluxe edition or whatever, where you just think Peter Jackson's story is over, and it's like, nope. So we'll see how long, like how much of The Last of Us Part 2 do they put into The Last of Us Part 2 Season 3, and we haven't even gotten to the finale. How much are they going to put in that finale? I have no idea. But
you see from a game standpoint that there is an obvious finish area that they can hit
for this
season that they seem to be building towards. Okay. Because I was kind of wondering, I'm like, well, about where are we in progress of the game? You know, we had 40%. Are we about at 50% where you could see the other half being even, or, you know, because they'll probably change. Like getting rid of Pedro, it's going to be hard to get rid of Bella and just focus on Abby since we have seen so little of her. So I am curious how they're going to try and hold the audience still. If they're going to do such a drastic shift in character. On the other hand, showing the other side of things, is something that this show is doing very well,
Yeah.
So I'm again, they've already got me, so I'm definitely going to obviously watch and see and study and everything. But I'm really curious once we kind of get our summary or our theme of this season is then, okay, where are you going to go with that? What theme and what stories are you trying to say? What's the point of view that you're trying to, present to the audience? And that's what I'm kind of fascinated about.
Okay. Is there anything else that we didn't touch on that you wanted to quickly bring up? Any kind of scene or moment or line or anything that really hit you? Like, because I'll tell you, like Joey Pants's whole thing about the whole "I need to hear her words for me" pretty much broke my heart.
Oh no, that was to be the most human part of it. That's where I say that's what gets you, is because you're expecting that noble thing is I gotta tell her that I love her or she's gotta know. And it's like, no, man, this is more like honestly the scared little boy that's like, I'm gonna die. I just want some comfort. I want to see and hear my wife tell me she loves me and understands me before I disappear into this. I mean, God, death is one thing, but cordyceps, what is that even? A double mystery there. So no, that was a hit pretty hard. Actually, one thing that I didn't notice in the opener is Seth calling the girls dykes. I had my closed captioning on this time, so I don't know if I had it on before.
Yeah,
but it was just kind of whispered, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't catch that." Oh, of course that's what pissed Joel off. Not just like, "Get out of here. This is a church." I thought that's all he said. I didn't hear the dykes.
Oh yeah.
So that was one thing that I kind of caught that was like, oh yeah, if I was Joel, I would have kicked the guy's ass also. That even if it's the wrong choice from a parent to do, that's just how you respond.
That's somebody's coming out talking to your kid that way. But it's like, again, it's what's the undercurrent for Ellie and Joel that says a lot that people just don't understand. I thought it was Ellie and Joel. Why are Ellie and Joel acting like this to each other, And
and it's also in that moment where he's, Uncle Grumpy, you're still family. It's that kind of acceptance that here we see him now being accepted in part, a stronger part of the community. It makes the loss hit a little bit more. And yeah, this is an adopted family. And now you're going after my adopted family. Of course I'm going to defend them. It all worked real nice.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't really have anything else. And again, like we go on for as long as we feel like we need, that the show has like stuff to mine against. And for me, again, like, because of so much of this is basically video game cutscenes that I've already seen. And very, there's not really any gameplay to talk about in here. There's no clickers to really worry about. The ones that are in it have been shot already.
Right.
Yeah, there were action sequences that could have been in these because of the game, but it's okay because the drama is why we're real. Like the story, the clickers again are just the environment that they're in, and and more than anything.
Actually, I do have one question for you.
Sure.
I mean, one, the horse dragging the guy off through the woods was fucking cool looking. But when they got off their horses and they climbed down that embankment into I'm going to be attackedville and I can't get to my horses, was that supposed to be the same hill that Abby fell down in the snow?
Don't know.
No. Okay. That was just the sudden steep thing, and they're going down into where clickers are.
Oh,
it just made me think of, is that the steep part where Abby rolled down into where all the clickers were, and is this kind of that flashback connection? Again, it just made me think because of the location, but there wasn't anything. Didn't know if there was anything brought up in the game or if you noticed anything.
no, it's not from the game, but it would have been cool if they had been like run into a place that are like, where they see a bunch of them and they're like, ugh, and then it's like, oh, maybe this is something we need to take care of, and then they never really got around to it. I don't know.
Just kind of got distracted from the whole Eugene thing there. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, so I guess that's where we'll be ending it already for this week. Next week is the last episode until they come back. I feel like they've filmed everything, so I don't know if like I don't know how this works. Do you know if they've already finished production on what would be the third season, or are they still filming?
I am not sure where they are. I mean, they'll probably let us know at the end of next. I could do a little bit more research at work and take a look, but I know that they had started. I thought they had finished. Yeah, it's getting all mixed up in my head. I'll have to double check for next week, but I mean, it'd be nice if we didn't have to wait a year, but I don't really think that's the way HBO works.
Yeah, they'll also try for award season, right? Just like Breaking Bad did, right?
Exactly.
Breaking Bad split up their final season, and so that they could double dip into the awards.
No, they would be much happier to kind of have something stuck in their back pocket that they can drop out when they need to. I mean, and it's going to be another 2 years before House of the Dragon, right? I don't know.
Really? Jeez.
It just feels like, I'm just saying, it's 2 years between all seasons now. If you get them once a year, you're kind of good shape.
All right. Well, then we will be back either next Sunday or Monday, depending on our schedules, to cover the finale of season 2. Where's it going to end? We don't know. I have ideas, but it's going to be fucked up. It's going to be messed up. Get ready for some serious, because I mean, I know what's coming. And there's going to be some stuff that is going to make you go, oh, no.
I would expect nothing less from this show.
So hopefully you all are ready. Get ready for a really emotional episode next week. And if that's saying something, because all these are pretty emotional, but shit's going to go down next week. That's not going to... You're gonna feel shit. You're gonna feel like shit.
You're gonna be feels.
You know, like how you get in one of those down note finales where you have to wait until another year or so before you find out, you know, for sure. And then we're gonna cut away. And the way that they tell this story, they're probably gonna do some really jarring things that are gonna make you feel like in the game when you switch over to play as Abby, and you don't go back for a really long time until, you know, we basically play out the events of the game from Abby's perspective. And I'll spoil this. From Abby's perspective, she's basically hours difference, only hours difference, really, from Ellie being in her proximity. They just don't know it yet. So it's going to be really interesting how they handle that. So anyway, and that's future talk, so we don't need to do that now. So, hey, we will see y'all next week. Darren, what have you got going on? Oh, we have stuff going on. I forgot.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you need something a little before then, kind of an uplifting story where everybody gets out A-okay, we're reviewing Rogue One this Wednesday. We've done Andor season 2. It leads right up to it. We're like, we can't stop for another week. The show needs to go longer, and we already have a movie. So join us 6 o'clock this Wednesday Pacific time, or in the archives anytime after that, over on D's Reviews, where this guy here and I will be talking all about Rogue One. And maybe a little discussion of how well does it connect in with Andor? How does all the things feel? What's the difference? Are there jarring moments? Is it all naturalistic? And just an excuse to talk about another good movie. So, yeah, that's over on D's Reviews this Wednesday.
Yep. And we've got something else, some other stuff in the works coming up that we'll be talking about getting started. If we on his channel, we already discussed this, talking about a podcast. where we'll be discussing all kinds of things that have nothing to do outwardly about pop culture, mostly about world life and other things that hit us. But it's going to be about all kinds of stuff. So, but we still are in the beginning stages of all this and how we're
Figuring
going to
things out. Yeah.
Yep. So just bear with us through all of that, and hopefully we'll be making some interesting, different content for y'all to check out.
So be sure to hit the like and the subscribe and that there notifications bell.
Yep.
And then you'll hear about all this stuff when it comes out.
All that stuff, so that we can. I don't even know.
Yeah.
So that you all know about it. Yeah, you know, and because I work 40 hours a week, so it's, you know, it's fitting all this into my schedule all the time is getting harder for some reason, even though the job is still the same. Anyway, I'm rambling. So have a great week, everybody. We will see you at the finale, or otherwise we'll see you at the Rogue One video over on D's Reviews. Check that out. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to his stuff as well. Bell, notifications, all that jazz. We'll see y'all next time. Bye. Do do ba 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 bum. Ba 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 bum. Ba 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 bum. Ba 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 bum.